treasurer for 3 years?
Sorry, we just realized it wasn't recorded.
That's what it says right now. The term for secretary and the president shall be 2 years. Term for treasurer be 3.
And what is the proposal again?
Proposal is that they serve for 1 year without having to have, I mean, the same person could run again. Nothing would prevent it. It just would be,
So
But then we wouldn't be able to have any staggered terms, right? So in any 1 year, if everyone's only serving 1 year terms, we could have all 3 officers change over in the same year.
correct.
That would be my only concern. I mean, I know that when I came in, it took a while, especially when I was treasurer, less so when I became president, but took a while to sort of change over all the money stuff and to understand the changeover and the money stuff. So my only concern is that if we change over all 3 officers in the same year, we would really have a loss of continuity. So
Did you
I
make
hear
one of the
the
roles?
reason for
Well,
the
hold
change.
on,
I'm
hold
just
on.
No, no, go ahead, Peggy.
Go on, Becky.
I hear the concern. I'm just all 3 changing in the same year. If it's only 1 year term, seems like it could be difficult for the council.
Stephen?
I was gonna say, couldn't you make like one of the roles to like a 2-year term? So you're always gonna have someone carrying over from, as other people switch out, someone will always be at least consistent for an extra year. I don't know. I don't know how that would work either, mathematically, but, instead of like, as Becky said, you can always have 3 people can leave the same time. You can have 3 new people. Couldn't you like make one of the roles 2 years? So you're maybe, I don't know, a little bit of consistency.
Christine, I see your thought going.
All right, my thought is that maybe we should just leave it as is. And that we see, because we do have so many new people, they were afraid first year, maybe they'll be more amenable to serving in a leadership role. Why don't we try it again? See if we have, if we can get some more buy-in from the members. And if we can't, then we take it up maybe next year. But I agree. I mean, it takes really a year to even learn the ropes. So your second and third years, you really are, you're on solid footing and you feel like you know what you're doing. I thought all 3 terms were 3 years, actually. I didn't realize that the secretary and president were only 2. So I don't know. After hearing what everybody's saying, I think maybe we should just let it lie for now and see if we have more reception or receptive members next year. And if we don't, then we look at changing it then.
I would also say that it's a maximum of 3 years. It's not a requirement. So that if somebody was hesitant, we could always say, look, why don't you take it? And if a year goes by, you can't fulfill it, we can always refill the position for the remaining 2 years or whatever. So maybe the best approach is to say, look, we'd like you to serve for 3, but there's no real mandate that you do it. If you're interested, give it a try for a year. And if you're not comfortable, you can always just opt not to re-up again and we'll fill the position. That might be a way to approach it too.
That's right.
And I think that's supplemented by us making a very strong concerted effort for just a council alternate delegate retreat. So everybody understands that responsibility and hopefully that they're not frightened of it. So many of them, and I'm looking, Jonathan, Christine, Becky was, but people who are Board of Selectmen and or in other positions, right? It's addition to those duties. And so you try not piling on too many things, but the reality is having select board members be at the council also helps direct our direction where we're going. So it's a double-edged sword in terms of having great council members, but it's also becomes a bit of a struggle because, again, everybody's pretty busy about how much to take on. So I do believe that we don't have a date set, but my hope was to have something in March to have, again, have just council members, delegates with, you know, someone like Brenda, myself, and Charlie, perhaps just kind of walking through about, you know, how to become more involved without having to take on a whole lot more time commitment. So thoughts, and maybe that's the thought I have, and maybe I know Becky, but even from Jonathan's perspective too.
Well,
If
I
I
was
could,
gonna say,
Yeah, so we'll just jump in, Jonathan.
I just sorry to cut you off. I think that retreat would be fantastic. I know I've been working with OCPC for a while, but I think a nice refresher, and I think a way to kind of break things down to make it simple and easily understood, I think would be great. Just as far as my involvement and my level of involvement and my ability to be effective with you guys. So I'd be all for that March retreat. I think that's fantastic.
Good.
Anyone else? Okay, Becky?
I was gonna say, excuse me, my dog has a bone and he won't let it go. If he lets it go, he'll bark more. So, that's the noise in the background. What I was gonna say is, I feel like people get more involved when they understand OCPC better. And I think the retreat is a great way for people to not just look at our numbers, which is our responsibilities at council, but also looking at each function of OCPC and how the delegates can bridge between OCPC and the towns and what the towns need. So I really like the idea of the retreat being a way for us to get people, the newer people, more involved.
So I would say, based on what we've just discussed, in absence of any motions, we'll just table this one for now.
Correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
and going back to the agenda, which doesn't want to behave for me on my computer. Do you have it up?
Going, sorry, screen's more full than usual.
I have 3 screens and it's not quite working well.
Welcome back from vacation, Lee.
Yeah. Okay, so we just had that. So we have the retirement board contribution.
Well, so without adding a whole nother meeting to your plates that for us to
Thank
have
you.
to post, I figured I'd take the opportunity to just to bring you up to date. And I will be reporting on further, but yesterday I had a meeting with the other regional planning agencies, and there's been this whole discussion about how there was a committee of the other regional planning, some of the members of with the ANF and the House Chair of Ways and Means, and talking about OCPC, the regional planning agency's contributions. At one point, because right now employees all contribute, but we as an organization do not. And there was a survey done that some have the capacity, and we were one of them. We have a capacity of, if we were to be charged 1%, would that be acceptable? But there are at least 2, if not 3 other regional planning agencies who could not do that. It would mean they laying off another staff member. Me bringing this up to you is I did not feel comfortable, and I still didn't feel comfortable until today, to have a discussion about where our comfort level is. We had done a scenario of, 0.5%, 1%, 2%, 3%, and what does that mean on our budget? Brenda did a really nice analysis for Charlie and I, and really we couldn't do more than a 1% contribution. Similar, like the regional schools have a 6% contribution. And there is a history that goes way beyond me that Charlie knows better than anyone. But the fact that legislation is that there's some regional planning agencies like FERCog that had special legislation filed that says that they don't have to contribute to the state retirement board. Why? I don't know. It might have been a special legislator who carried the political weight, but I don't know, Brenda, by any chance, you have those numbers for you?
I know, but I get those.
Could you just try to get them? And I didn't bring them with you today, but again, I Charlie, Brenda, and I did have a separate conversation about this. The point is that we're either gonna let legislators determine, right, so there's two pieces of legislation out there. The one that's been filed by the other regional planning agencies, us, to have us not contribute. And then the the treasurer's office and the state retirement board says, oh yeah, you need to contribute and you need to pay back what's owed, which was somewhere in the vicinity of over $500,000. We said that can't happen. There's been a change of the state retirement board administration. Nick Favorito has left. There's a new woman who's in charge, and she has taken the stance that regional planning agencies have to contribute to the state retirement board. So I got to remember the chair, co-chair of the Ways and Means, but Chair Gordon had said, hey, regional planning agencies, you come up with what you think you're going to. And that's like herding chickens because everybody comes from different places. The discussion we had yesterday, I thought was fruitful, but came to be where, we need to communicate back to the chair saying, what are we going to do next? So my recommendation after talking with Charlie and Brenda is that OCPC takes the stance that we do not contribute more than the 1%. That's pretty much all that we can do at this point. If there is a way, I think I'm going a little bit off script from what we talked about, but we can't just all of a sudden say, hey, you got to contribute 6%. Thank you, Brenda. If it does go down the path, it has to be phased in, because how do I then plan for staffing? And right, we're at such a huge upswing of where we've been in the past. I cannot imagine letting one of the staff members go. Like, we just couldn't do the job that we're doing. So I know I talked a little bit in circles, but basically regional planning agencies are looking, I am recommending, and would look for at least a vote at this to then be taken up to the full council, that we do not go more than 1%. The 1% equals, talk about,
Should probably look at that for 24 because.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the 24. Actually, because we've done a very good job, but I'm looking to my right here with Brenda. So 1% of our salaries is 18 grand, 2% is 36 grand, 3% is 54. As we get into that 54, that's a personnel for us. So I will share this document with all of you. So you will have it. This is not necessarily a bylaw, but I wanted to at least bring it up to this committee to save on holding a whole nother committee. And since at this point from yesterday's meeting, there isn't going to be another meeting until February, we can have a much more fruitful, deeper conversation at the finance committee. Does that make sense?
So are you looking for a motion for that, today?
I would say I was using this meeting. I was using all of you because I knew I thought I was gonna need a decision more sooner, but from yesterday's meeting, we have some time and can have a more fruitful conversation at the finance meeting. So that's what I'm looking for.
To just continue this to the finance committee? Is that what you're saying?
Please,
Yeah.
please,
okay.
and I'll have Brenda update this spreadsheet that I'm looking at and send it out to everyone. But, so I know Stephen and Becky and Lee and Christine know pretty well about it. I know, Jonathan, you're relatively new. We'll give a little bit of I'll have a little bit of a narrative of what we're talking about. But it is the contribution, and I don't think we have another 6 months of the legislative session to go through for something to happen. And I know Becky, what's the language where they take bills and they can just go move them forward?
Able, you mean?
It's called something 10. It'll come to me, but there was a discussion yesterday that we just don't want this, the treasurer's bill to be going out without us weighing in. So I think having a finance meeting, which we're gonna have Is it next week? The week after?
No, week after.
The week after, the
Mhm.
finance meeting the week after will give us plenty of time. And I will send a more formal, crisp, cleaner narrative with the documentation in advance, so you can review it.
Okay,
So thank you.
okay, next item.
The
We're gonna talk
OPEB
about the
trust,
Yep.
yes, so, so there was a discussion, and I think Christine, that you may have had some section on. There was a discussion because in the current bylaws, it doesn't reference anything about the OPEB trust. While it's a separate declaration, it does say, as we had adopted last year or the year before, it did say that, here it is, here's my language. It did say, that OCPC council member appointed and then OCPC council officer. So somewhere in our bylaws, we need to address, and I think Christine, you said section 7, that we should add language in there. Maybe Megan, if you want to bring up powers and responsibilities in that section, we should add in there language that talks about the designation of appointments to the OPEB trust are made by, I believe it's a chair, if I remember right, for the OPEB trust
It's the policy bodies, is that what you know?
policy. Sorry, this is. So, right, Christine, I know that you brought this up in terms of adding language in there.
Yeah, I
but
just
right now-
wasn't sure. So is this declaration of trust that you sent out, is this the final document? Because I thought what we saw was different than this.
I have. There was the old one that was sent out, and then there was the most recent one.
I
And
don't
that
know if I
was-
saw the recent one, because this one
Um,
references Board of Directors, which we don't have.
Yeah, no, in fact.
And then,
it-
okay,
yeah.
this is the old one?
Yep, it is.
Okay,
Well, I can find it.
Could you please, I'll have Megan pull it up. So on June 29th of 2022, this is when the Declaration of Trust was approved. We recently had the conversation with Catherine Hesse, who said, hey, there's some things that just need to be updated. And then there was a question about what we do with it. But to the point of the bylaws, it is silent in our bylaws as it references the duties, and I believe that it is I'm looking at it right now. It says an officer as appointed by the council as a chief executive officer. And then, so it's an appointment by the council, and then a current, where's the other one? Oh, then. I'm looking at an officer of OCPC as appointed by the council as chief executive officer. I thought there was one more. Oh, yeah. And then a citizen of one of the participating 17 communities as appointed by the council as chief executive officer of OCPC. My understanding of that, and I'm not the legal here, Rebecca, but that it would be the council president that makes that appointment. But I could be wrong. Do you have it?
I do.
Okay. Megan's gonna bring it up, and it's just so you know, it's on page 3 of the articles, the Declaration of Trust. It's Article 3.
I'm trying to attach it as well.
Here, just bring it up for now. To share your screen.
I'm trying to
Megan.
find it in my email and I'm just not finding it right away.
Megan
just-
just put it in the chat, and then she's gonna share her screen.
So many. Here we go. And here we go.
Okay, so page 3, Article 3, designation of Board of Trustees,
Are they saying that the meeting is being recorded?
No.
Yeah.
They aren't seeing that, no, I gotta,
but it's in our ways.
I know. Separate.
That's okay, don't worry about it. Okay.
So you're thinking this should be put in the bylaw too, as well as the trust?
Yeah.
Papers?
because it's silent right now, there is no reference to the OPEB trust appointment, so under in the bylaws where it talks about the duties, it could go under, president. I mean, there was a little bit of a, because in the
No.
trust, no. go
Yeah, so
ahead.
what we meant there, Mary, was the council as a whole is the chief executive officer of the OCPC as
Okay,
we're organized.
okay,
So it would have to be appointed by the entire council.
okay, so
Because
then
it
that,
has to be appointed by the CEO of OCPC, according to apparently the regulations, was what the attorney was telling us.
okay,
And so it has to be appointed by the council because it has to be appointed by the CEO of OCPC. And the council delegates serve as the chief executive officer.
so then I would then recommend under
Oh.
section 5, powers and duties of, well, it says, actually, that's powers and responsibility, executive committee. I'm looking backwards, I'm just,
And I think all you would need to say is to appoint members.
yes, correct.
Per, and then just reference this document, not necessarily repeat it all.
That's correct.
I like
So-
that, Lee, because then if for any reason we change the trust, no one has to remember this history and go
Right.
back and change the bylaws.
Yeah, so
I
it
like
should just say, the council shall appoint members as dictated and then just reference the trust document.
So in our bylaws, under Article 2, policy bodies, Section 1 says primary policy body. It then says the powers and responsibilities, and the list, this is in the, not the Declaration of Trust, but the bylaws.
Oh, thank you.
A through L, we can add M, the appointment of, to the OPEB trust.
Yep,
Okay,
that sounds good. You want that
Perfect.
as a motion? Should we vote that? So do I have a motion? I see yes.
I'll make a motion.
Becky. Second,
I'll second.
yeah, okay, so motion by Christina, second by Becky. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Lee Hartman, yes. Steve?
Yes,
keep
Becky?
going.
Christine, yes.
All right,
Yes.
Becky? And
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
All right, it's unanimous.
Great,
Did I
thank you.
move too fast for you there? Sorry. I always warn people, you know, I'm always on the other side of the gavel. You give me the gavel.
I love it.
Keep it moving.
I'm
Might
all
be the-
for it, Lee.
So the next is fiscal, financial, we call it fiscal policy, but financial policies. And this has been an initiative that many of you have been part of already. Where we are right now, are we ready to share anything? Did you?
I mean, I could share this, so I could send the Serpent, but I've
Actually,
changed
no.
it so much.
What I would recommend is that I'll have a brief conversation, but we'll take it up at the finance meeting, is that we've been, this is started under Christine Joy, and many of you have been participating on it. We had hired Doug Silvestri to help us with this. We have been surveying the other regional planning agencies and getting some of them that have their fiscal policies, not all of them. Internally, we've had discussions. We're going to separate policy out from procedures because policy should stay there. You will be informed of our procedures. We just lost them.
You guys there?
We can
You're
still
there.
see
Yeah, we
and
can
hear
see you.
you.
yeah, we
Okay.
can hear you and see you.
Oh, all right, well, I can't see you, but that's okay. So, so where we are right now is, just wanted to give an update. I don't require a vote at this time. We'll bring that up. We have time to bring it up at the finance meeting, at the end of the month, and we'll have the, where we are now and what we'd like to have be voted on.
Does Doug-
And it's only taken us this time to really get to a point where we feel really comfortable with moving forward.
Does Doug
Okay.
still do any work for us? That was the first time I heard his name in a while. I was just curious.
Doug Silvestri,
Yeah.
we have not hired him since the last time.
Okay,
He did a lot of the research work for us, and put together a document that we had shared previously,
yeah, I remember that.
but we have not, taken him on. We're trying to do a little bit of internal here and basically with the best practices of what Brent has been doing with other regional planning agencies, Christine also shared with us a couple of other examples that are out there that we feel that we have a good standard to go from, so. If we need to, we will bring him back, but if we do that, we'll say hello to him for everybody.
Just curious, you know.
And that's all I have for you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any other business from anyone else?
Oh, actually, strike that, my apologies. Just because Christine had sent the email, there was from the last meeting, if you note in the notice I was supposed to put together some boundaries about the DEI subcommittee. I have not done that. That is on my list,
DEI.
internally to work with staff, so.
DEI.
The Diversity, Equity, Inclusion
Okay.
Subcommittee, the board, the bylaw subcommittee and the board supported that change to create it. It was being left to me to get some best practices and pulling them together, and I have not done that. We have people that the chair has appointed members, we just haven't held a meeting to come up with the full formal. And that's all I had. I don't know if Christine had any other items.
No, so that will be down the road, Mary, that we'll probably add that as a standing committee to the bylaws.
Yes, it will be.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And for now, it can operate as an informal committee because I don't think it has any specific authority.
That's correct.
Mhm.
It's more advisory.
Yes, correct.
Okay, any other? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
So moved.
I'll make it, sorry.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
it's
We're
unanimous.
so
Thank
quick on the
you.
adjournment, it's like everybody's.
All right, thank you, Mary. Thank you, staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
committee.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
We'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll send this out to everybody. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, don't send it out to, we're gonna update it just to 24 only.
Up to